Welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah.
We're the ones who slice through all the information to get you the good stuff.
Yeah, cutting through the noise, getting straight to the insights, that's the goal.
And today, we're doing a deep dive.
Yeah.
That's, well, it's super close to home for us here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
You betcha.
We're talking about our city's amazing growth story.
Yeah.
It really is remarkable.
It is. But to really get it, you kind of have to look next door, right?
Exactly.
Eh?
We need to compare it to, like, this fascinating tale of two cities. Our Midwestern neighbor, Sioux City, Iowa.
Mm-hmm. Similar beginnings, you'd think.
Right? Surprisingly similar, but wow, have their paths diverged.
It's pretty striking.
Yeah, our research and just, living here, it's uncovered this really big difference in where these two cities went. Especially when you think back in 1980.
Yeah.
They were almost neck and neck, population-wise, I mean. Both right around, 81, 82,000 people?
Exactly. Right there together in 1980. And that's what's so fascinating,
Mm-hmm.
How Sioux Falls went from that point, that parity, to now. We're looking at over 215,000 residents today.
It's incredible growth.
It really is. And Sioux City, there's still around 86,000 as of 2024, so pretty stable compared to us.
So yeah, it's not just some historical fun fact.
No, not at all. It's a really compelling case study, especially for any city in the Midwest, honestly.
And super relevant if you're thinking about, like, real estate here or the housing market.
Oh, absolutely. Housing trends, financial matters, it all ties in.
So that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Right, explore the why.
That's the mission. We're going to look at the key factors behind this huge shift. Things like economic diversification, that's a big one. Significant infrastructure investments, like the SD 100 project that's ongoing.
Right, that loop around the city.
Exactly. And then strategic urban planning, plus those pretty aggressive annexation policies Sioux Falls used.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, our deep dive today, it isn't just about the numbers on a page. It's really about understanding what makes a community truly thrive.
And what these trends mean for you. If you live here, or maybe you're thinking about investing in our really wonderful town.
Precisely.
So thinking about that 1980 starting line again, both cities kind of there, ready to go, and then just different directions.
Really different paths.
Was it just the economics later on, or did their sort of historical identities play a part, like the feel of the communities? I know Sioux City has some really deep historical roots.
Oh, for sure. That's a great point. Sioux City has a very rich history. I mean, Charles Floyd from the Lewis and Clark expedition, he died near there in 1804.
Wow, okay. Didn't know that.
Yeah. And there were pioneers in electric rail, had the very first corn palace back in the late 1800s. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
But historically, their economy got really, really tied to meat packing and food processing. That became their anchor.
Okay, so focused.
Yeah.
And Sioux Falls, we had our own quirky history bits, right?
We did. You thinking about the divorce colony.
Yeah. That always cracks me up. From like the 1880s to the early 1900s.
That's right, because South Dakota had these notably lenient divorce laws at the time.
Can you just picture it? Honey, I'm just popping over to Sioux Falls.
For a quick divorce.
Yeah.
But, beyond that weird footnote, Sioux Falls started making a really deliberate shift later in the 20th century.
Away from just farming.
Exactly. Moving away from a purely agricultural base towards sectors like healthcare, finance, and retail, too. That initial conscious economic pivot that was really foundational for everything that came after.
Okay, so it wasn't just like a slow drift apart. There were specific moments, things that really pushed Sioux Falls forward faster.
Definitely. Pivotal moments.
I feel like I remember hearing about a major bank or financial company moving here. Back in the early 80s, that seemed like a huge deal.
You're absolutely right. That was crucial.
What made that happen? Like, why Sioux Falls? Were there special policies or just good timing?
Well, it was a bit of both, really. 1981, that was the year. An absolute game changer for Sioux Falls.
Okay.
That's when Citibank decided to relocate major credit card operations here.
Citibank, right.
And it wasn't just luck. South Dakota had passed some very forward-thinking financial legislation, basically removing caps on interest rates, which made the state incredibly attractive for the banking industry, especially credit cards.
Okay. So smart policy met opportunity.
Exactly. And that single event, that relocation, it fueled just an enormous economic shift. It really helped diversify us beyond agriculture in a big way.
And you see that today, right, with the big employers?
Oh, absolutely. Now you look around Sioux Falls, you've got major players like Sanford Health, Avera Health, huge in healthcare. And yeah, Citigroup is still a major employer employer.
Mm,
And all that drives growth not just in healthcare and finance, but now we're seeing an emerging tech sector too.
right. And meanwhile, Sioux City.
Well, Sioux City, despite its strengths, its history, it largely remained tied to those historical economic pillars,
Mhm.
agriculture, food processing, so less diversification.
Much less. They just haven't seen those same kinds of major corporate relocations or the broad sectoral diversification that Sioux Falls actively went after and frankly cultivated.
Gotcha. And it wasn't just about which companies came, right? It was also about how the city itself grew
Okay.
physically.
Yes, that's the other huge piece.
We hear a lot about annexation and infrastructure here. How did Sioux Falls manage to be so, well, aggressive and consistent with that? Because that seems hard for cities to do.
It is hard, and that's a key distinction. Sioux Falls has been incredibly proactive, maybe even, yeah, aggressive is the word. It goes way back. South Sioux Falls was annexed back in 1955. And ever since then, the city's basically maintained this policy of expanding, on average annexing roughly 1 square mile per year.
1 square mile a year. Wow.
And it's not just grabbing land randomly. It's guided by these really forward-thinking plans. Like right now, it's the Shape Sioux Falls 2040 plan.
Okay, I've heard of that. It's this comprehensive blueprint, right, for long-term development. It meticulously outlines growth short-term, mid-term, long-term phases, covers everything from housing to parks to utilities.
So it allows for planning the infrastructure before the growth really hits.
Precisely. It lets the city plan for things like airport expansions, upgrading utilities, getting water and sewer lines out to where the new houses are going to be built.
And the SD 100 highway project fits into that.
Perfectly. It's essentially this big ring road designed specifically to support and direct that future growth around the city edges. It's about controlled expansion, which helps manage city services, and importantly, the tax base.
Makes sense. And Sioux City's approach.
By contrast, yeah, Sioux City is often described as more geographically mature. There's been minimal annexation there in recent decades.
Okay.
Their urban planning seems more focused on, preservation and smaller scale redevelopment within their existing city limits rather than big outward expansion.
So totally different strategy.
Very different strategy, leading to a very different effect on their population growth trajectory.
So when you look at the actual numbers, that proactive, multi-pronged strategy Sioux Falls took, it really paid off in sustained growth. It wasn't just like a one-time boom.
No, absolutely not. It's been
So
sustained.
what do the forecasts even say now, like for the next, I don't know, 20 years or so?
Well, if we kind of connect all these dots, look at the bigger picture. Sioux Falls' growth has been remarkable and rapid, doubling in size between 1980 and 2020.
Doubled. Wow.
Yeah. And now the projections show us potentially reaching 300,000 people by 2045.
300,000. That's a lot more growth.
It is. And it's really seen as a direct result of those interconnected strategic choices we talked about. It wasn't just one magic bullet.
Right.
It was the deliberate economic pivot healthcare with Sanford and Avera, finance boosted by Citibank. That is amplified by the proactive, aggressive annexation, expanding the city's footprint consistently. And then all of that was supported by that forward-thinking urban planning, like Shape Sioux Falls 2040, guiding the infrastructure. It all worked together.
Powerful engine.
Exactly, a powerful engine for sustained growth. It's genuinely impressive when you break it down. And then you look at Sioux City, again, rich history, Charles Floyd, the first Corn Palace,
Yeah.
important stuff.
Yeah.
But economically, they largely stayed dependent on agriculture, food processing, meat packing. Because of that limited diversification and the minimal annexation, their population has been relatively stagnant. And the projections, they suggest it'll likely remain stable, maybe even slightly decline to around 85,000 by 2045.
So basically flat, while Sioux Falls potentially adds almost another 100,000 people.
That's the projection. And it really raises that big question, right?
Yeah.
What can other Midwestern cities learn from these two very different paths?
Yeah, what's the takeaway?
Well, our research, looking at this comparison, it really highlights that economic diversification, having foresight with infrastructure, and being proactive about urban planning, sometimes through bold annexation. Those things seem truly paramount for long-term vitality, for cities wanting to build for the future.
So bringing it back home, what does all this mean for us? For folks living here in Sioux Falls right now?
Well, for one thing,
It means we're part of this really vibrant, growing community, right? And knowing how we got here, understanding this story, it helps us appreciate what we have now.
helps appreciate the present.
and maybe helps us plan intelligently for the future, too.
Mm.
It definitely underscores how critical it is to keep balancing this rapid housing growth we're
It
seeing
is intense.
with ongoing infrastructure development and that smart urban planning you talked about. That's always top of mind when we talk real estate in the housing market here, isn't it?
Always. You
Yeah.
can't have one without the other working well long term.
And Sioux Falls, it's more than just the growth numbers, too. There's the pink Sioux quartzite everywhere.
Our bedrock,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah. Our strong art scene, the sculpture walk downtown.
All of the sculpture wall.
Yeah, and this identity we're building as an emerging tech hub. So I guess the big question, the provocative thought maybe, is how do we, as a community, how do we keep fostering this unique mix, this rapid expansion and that quintessential Midwest spirit and charm that, we all love? How do we make sure our success really works for everyone?
That is the question, isn't it? Balancing growth with character and equity. It's the ongoing challenge.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this really fascinating deep dive into the story of Sioux Falls growth.
Yeah, this was fun to unpack.
We really hope you enjoyed this journey. It's all about fun, education, and building community right here in this wonderful town of Sioux Falls.
Absolutely.
For more insights, things about real estate, housing trends, financial matters, all that good stuff,
Yeah.
you can check us out on social media.
Yep, find us there. Or head over to yourseasonagent.com.
That's right, yourseasonagent.com. Thanks again for listening.
We'll catch you next time.